September 10th, and we have been lucky enough to have an extended growing season this year. Oh, get that sun out of the way there. And I'm still harvesting tomatoes. And at this point, I've got so many tomatoes, especially those little ones, and even the big ones. I don't have anything too huge. All the big ones ripened and we ate those a while ago, but we have like, I don't know, plum size, small peach size tomatoes. And I don't have time to can them. I don't want to put in that kind of effort. But I'll show you what I do, and it's quick and easy with all your extra tomatoes, so you can still enjoy them all winter long and that yummy fresh tomato flavor. Yep, still harvesting them. I came out and harvested a big old bushel full of them yesterday. And I'm really excited about our longer growing season. So I'm going to enjoy them. I'm not going to let them go to waste. My squash did really well. I cut the leaves off and I tied them up, and it made a huge difference. But I'm still harvesting squash. I love squash, especially fried zucchini. That's my favorite. So, and what we don't eat, I just I cut it up and blanch it and put it in the freezer. Oh no! I have intruders! 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 Out! Out with you! So if you have a abundance of the little cherry tomatoes, you can only eat so many, and I mean you can freeze them if you wanted, but what I like to do is I cut them in half and dehydrate them. And then you have sun-dried tomatoes, or you can grind them up and make a tomato powder out of them, or you can grind them up and make tomato sprinkles. So, and there's so many things you can do with them. So when you cut them, make sure you cut them. There's the stem side. Hold them like that. Cut them in half that way. That way all the seeds are exposed and they dry a lot better than if you're cutting them the other way. So, okay. And you put your finger there and hold it like that, and just slice through like that. And it exposes more of the seeds. And when you put them in the dehydrator, make sure you leave plenty of room around them so that the air can get through. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have an 8-tray dehydrator. So here's my food dehydrator, and they're all full of those tomatoes. And I'm gonna put the lid on. Now my lid has temperatures on it, and it's got a little cheat sheet down here, and it says herbs and spices, nuts and seeds, crafts, fruit and veggies, meats, fish, and jerky. And I'm going to do fruit and veggies, and it says 135 degrees, and so that's right there. $135, and I'm going to plug it in. It'll be going all night, and I'll check it in the morning, but it's probably going to take 18 to 24 hours. Seems like a long time, but it's worth it. There it goes. Good morning, and due to some audio difficulties, I'm having to voice over on this segment. It's actually been about 15 hours, and I did spin the trays around from top to bottom in reversing the order when I first woke up, and then I left them in for a couple more hours, and now they are perfect. They're dehydrated, they've shriveled up in size, they're not totally crunchy. If you're going to grind them into a powder, you're going to want them to be really, really dry with no moisture. If you leave a little moisture in them, you can bag them up and use them you can freeze them and use them as sun-dried tomatoes in dishes, salads, anything really that you want to add a little bit of yummy, fresh garden tomato flavor to. Now, when I say leaving a little bit of moisture in them, I mean that they're dry They're not, there's no wetness at all, but they're just a little bit rubbery or pliable. But for this, when we grind them up in the food processor, we're going to want them to be bone dry. So I've let them cool and I bagged them, and now I'm going to add them to my Ninja food processor. You can use any kind of food processor. Now you can leave them just tomatoes, or you can add different herbs to them to jazz them up a bit. For this batch, I'm going to add some dried minced onion, probably about a tablespoon, maybe 2 teaspoons, depends on how much you like onion. I'm also going to add oregano, just maybe a teaspoon, teaspoon and a half, give or take. I'm also going to add basil, dried basil, and I'm going to use about 2 teaspoons of that. Now sometimes I add crushed red pepper, but I'm going to leave that out this time. You can also add garlic salt or Himalayan salt, but I'm not adding salt this time. And I'm just going to start grinding them up. Sometimes this can take some time. If you're going to do it into a fine powder, you'll have to remove the blades. They sometimes get the tomato buildup on them and then they stop chopping. So after cleaning the blades, you can continue. I want mine to have some bits of tomato in it, so I'm going to not do it to a fine powder, but it'll be a combination of powder and bits of tomato, and it smells really good, like an Italian kitchen. Now you can use this tomato powder for anything. You can put it on your pizza. I like to make a vinaigrette dressing with this. I'll take extra virgin olive oil and I'll add either balsamic vinegar or red wine vinegar or apple cider vinegar, or sometimes just even white wine vinegar, and I'll add a couple spoonfuls of this tomato powder, and it really makes a really delicious Italian style dressing. So I think I got it where I want it. Looks like some tomato, some powder. And then I'm just going to store it in a glass jar here for now. Now you could store this in the pantry, but I'm going to keep mine in the fridge just because. And if I have some bags that I haven't ground up yet and I just want to use them as sun-dried tomatoes on dishes and stuff, I keep them in a Ziploc freezer bag, and I just keep them in the freezer just to be on the safe side. They don't take up a lot of room. But while it's in the jar, right now it's pretty loose, but you can see that it tends to want to stick together. So I take one of these little silica packs, and you can find these, you can recycle them out of your, you get supplements or vitamins or any kind of a food item. Make sure it's the food grade, and you can just throw that in there to help absorb moisture. In Wyoming, we don't have a whole lot of extra moisture, but I know when we lived on the coast, you couldn't keep anything dry. So in that case, you might want either a bigger one or maybe 2 or 3 of them. Now I have a whole bunch of tomatoes about this size. They're good for snacking and stuff, and I could can these, but I don't really want to go to that much work this year. So all I do is I cut out the core, you rinse them off. I save these for the chickens, they love them. there's a little blemish on the skin, I just kind of cut that off too. That one was a little funny looking. Ziploc freezer bags. They have to be freezer bags because they're a little heavier. I just put them all in there. That looks like I can fit a couple more. Then I seal them up, remove the air, and throw them in the freezer. And they'll be just fine. When you go to use them, they thaw out and the skin just peels right off. So you don't even have to worry about blanching them first to remove the skin. They're so easy. I've done it like this for a few years now. And anytime I do a dish that I want to throw some chopped up tomatoes or stewed tomatoes in, I just pull out a bag and use that. And they taste wonderful. They don't lose any flavor. Well, I hope my tips and tricks on how to put your tomatoes up, your extra tomatoes up, so you can enjoy the wonderful flavor all winter long in your cooking has helped you in taking some of the stress off. And we'll see you next time on the Enlightened Homestead.